guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon, and happy Thanksgiving to our American viewers. It is Thanksgiving. I'm actually recording this video ahead of Thanksgiving because I don't feel like working today. We don't feel like working today, so we're gonna post some videos ahead of time. So we're gonna talk about Doctor Who. I talked about Doctor Who a couple of weeks ago. We don't talk as much about Doctor Who as we used to, because there hasn't really been a lot of Doctor Who news other than the trailer for Series 12 dropped. I guess we're getting Cybermen, etc., etc. But there are a lot of rumors circulating about Doctor Who, and we're going to talk about one that could potentially upend the entire show, even more so than the Doctor regenerating into a woman. It's the rumor that maybe the Doctor began as a woman. Yeah, I know, right? Apparently, this could happen, and I actually have some supporting evidence. Recent evidence to show that they might have actually been thinking about this for a while on Doctor Who. So it's not too far-fetched. It's not too far-fetched at all. So before we get into the video, please subscribe to Clownfish TV if you haven't done so already. We're at about 78,000 subs, hoping to hit 100,000 soon. We do talk about pop culture. We talk about movies, television, animation, anime, video games, whatever we feel like talking about that day, whatever interests us. And yeah, this is kind of crazy, or at least I thought it was kind of crazy. Now, what prompted this, beyond the obvious, that there's been a lot of discussion about the gender in relation to the Doctor lately, because the Doctor has, regenerated into a woman for what we thought was the first time. And there's been a lot of discussion about that. Now, that has been divisive among fans for a number of reasons. Some people just don't like the idea of the Doctor, regenerating into a woman, even though we've showed precedent before, more recently, of course, with the Master, etc., and some other Time Lords. So yeah, it's totally possible. It is possible. Just, a lot of fans were not on board with that. And, because they're not on board with the Doctor becoming a woman, there, of course, have been the usual backlash from, the usual outlets that Doctor Who fans are misogynists, they're horrible people, they want to keep women down. That's not true. In my case, I've said before, I have no problem with the Doctor regenerating into a woman. I have no problem with Jodie Whittaker. I've just been bored out of my mind with Series 11, and it sounds like Series 12 is going to be more of the same. Now, here's where things get really interesting. There is a rumor that Season 12 might reveal the Doctor's original gender, and people are like, well, why do we have to do that? Because the Doctor's clearly been a male all this time. The Doctor's been referred to as a little boy in multiple episodes of Doctor Who. We even saw in a more recent episode, Clara, grabbing the Doctor by the ankle when he was a little boy. I think it was Listen. He was in Listen. And, there's no doubt the Doctor is male, has always been male, and has just recently regenerated into a woman. That might not be the case, because, we got to retcon everything. That might not actually be the case. According to Nerdrotic, who is pretty cool, you should check him out if you haven't checked his channel out. He is, I believe, a former comic shop owner. He has a great deal of passion for Doctor Who, Star Trek, Star Wars, you name it. And he was passed along some information that the BBC is actually considering retconning the Doctor's past. So the Doctor started out life as a woman and then regenerated into a male. Many, many more times than maybe we're even aware of. That there probably were multiple regeneration cycles. Now, this is, again, not anything new. Any long-time Doctor Who fans would know that there's been some discussion about this because of the episode The Brain of Morbius. The Brain of Morbius with Tom Baker. They flashed back through all of the lives of Tom Baker's Doctor, but then they wound up showing a bunch of unfamiliar faces, implying that there were more versions of the Doctor before William Hartnell, before the first Doctor. And there's been a lot of speculation as to whether or not the Doctors had multiple regeneration cycles. Maybe the Doctor had lives before he was actually known as the Doctor. This has been something that's been speculated on for years. Now, they do play kind of loose with Doctor Who canon. You know, the Doctor's past has always been really kind of up in the air. His age tends to fluctuate. You know, a lot of people have just chalked that up to the Doctor not remembering how old he actually is. But it turns out the Doctor could be a lot older than we think. Still my favorite. Still my all-time favorite. So, yeah, this is one of the most controversial things in Doctor Who. So they showed 8 regenerations before Hartnell, meaning that he could technically have been the 9th Doctor. Troughton is the 10th, Pertwee's the 11th, and Baker's the 12th. And we know that, look, the Doctor lies, and that they do retcon things. Of course, the War Doctor, wasn't an official regeneration. He just didn't call himself the Doctor, so it didn't count. So it could be that the Doctor only counts the regenerations that refer to themselves as the Doctor, as an official Doctor. So let's take a look at this article from Bounding in the Comics. They talk about Nerdrotic's video. New Doctor Who's Season 12 rumor indicates the show will reveal Doctor Who's original gender. The rumor comes from Gary Buechler on his Nerdrotic YouTube channel. He says it looks like there might be multiple sets of regenerations. Yeah, we just talked about that. They have it out already. I've been told, this is what Gary says, I've been told they've been playing around with the idea. They're going to go ahead with the idea of multiple regenerations, and something I predicted over a year ago, the Doctor will originally have been a woman. There is supporting evidence for this. I think they've already thought about it. In fact, I'm going to talk about it after we get done looking through this article, that they've already laid the groundwork for this. So I could totally see it happening. Again, this is rumor. This is a rumor. This is a rumor. We don't know what they're going to do, but it would not surprise me one bit if, given the way a lot of the custodians of classic IP like to upend things these days, if they did indeed go ahead and do this. He details his source tells him the show won't come out and directly state that the Doctor was a woman originally, but they will allude to it, and they already have, and I'm going to talk about that. According to my source, they will not give a specific number on multiple sets of regenerations, and they won't specifically come out and say he was a woman first. It will be more like alluding to it, keeping it vague with a little wink. They've already done it. He says that this will rock the fandom. Absolutely, it will. He says he also believes there's some truth to the rumor. Gary says, do I necessarily believe it? Not necessarily. I say there's a 50-50 chance of it happening, or it's going to go down like this. He explains why there might be some truth to it. In Series 11, Episode 2, The Ghost Monument, the Doctor encounters a predator psychic in the form of Ribbon. This Ribbon says, we see deeper though, further back, the timeless child. We see what's hidden even from yourself, the outcast, abandoned, and unknown. Buechler also cites a Radio Times article which theorizes there is evidence from Doctor Who canon that the Doctor may have had multiple cycles of regenerations prior to her current. Could this be a reference that perhaps the Doctor has former unknown selves? So here's the thing. We already know that they could go back to the brain of Morbius and say the Doctor has regenerated at least 8 times before William Hartnell's Doctor. It's very easy to do. We don't know if the child shown in the episode with Clara, that Clara was grabbing his leg, we don't know if that was actually a child version of William Hartnell's Doctor or not. If he actually had aged normally and then regenerated later on in life. We don't know that. Here's where it gets tricky. The Magician's Apprentice, Missy and Clara, they have a confrontation. It was actually a pretty good scene. In that instance, I actually liked the gender swap. I think it worked out really well. I really did like Missy quite a bit. There was a scene, there was an exchange between Missy and Clara where Missy says that she has been the Doctor's best friend since always. Since the Cloister Wars, since the night he stole the moon and the President's wife, since he was a little girl. Since he was a little girl. So the fans took that to mean that Missy wasn't being honest, Missy was making it up. One of them was a lie, Missy said. That could be the lie too. That made me see something. Classic riddle, one of them was a lie. Doesn't mean that 3 of these are true. The good old one of them is not a nickel riddle. Don't trust Missy, it's not true. It's not true. It can't possibly be true because we know it's not true. Could they have had this planned for years? Could they have been laying the groundwork for this even back during Moffat's run? That the Doctor was originally a little girl and that Missy was actually telling the truth. Missy was telling the truth, that the Doctor was a little girl at some point before the Doctor became William Hartnell. Is that the Doctor's original gender? You know, and then some point the Doctor became a boy, and yada, 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 and here we are again, but maybe the Doctor has forgotten. Yeah, they totally could go that route. Would the fans be happy about it? Oh, hell no. Hell no. Even if there is an out for it, I think that there will be riots if they go that route, which is probably why, if the rumor is true, they're going to kind of just, you know, kind of wink and a nod. Oh yeah, the Doctor could have been a little girl at some point in time. But the thing is that Missy, they laid the groundwork with Missy for the Doctor regenerating into a woman. You know, they kind of rewrote a lot of the rules of regeneration, you know, to allow for this. I mean, they couldn't have made it any clearer. They couldn't have made it any clearer that the next incarnation of the Doctor after Capaldi was going to be a woman, you know, talking about the future being female, and he's like, you know, we can only hope so, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, I think they put that in there. I think they put that in there to potentially leave the door open. And we do have this new storyline, this Timeless Child storyline, and maybe they'll just be like, the Doctor is infinite. The Doctor's had an infinite number of regenerations. The Doctor has always existed. Who knows? You know, maybe they'll go back to that whole, you know, the Doctor is basically a god thing. Who knows where they're going to go with it? But the word on the street is that apparently all the writers for Series 12 are like from soap operas. How's that even going to work? I don't know. So I don't know. I'm kind of curious what you guys make of it. I think there's a kernel of truth here. Again, because I love Doctor Who. It's one of my favorite shows, or was until Series 11. I'll probably give Season 12 another chance and see if it gets any better. Hoping that it gets better, but I don't really have a lot of hope, especially knowing who's working on it now. And I don't like the tone. I think we're going to get more of the same with Series 12. So let me know what you think. And I'm going to put a link to Gary's original video. Go out and watch that. Read this article on Bounding in the Comics. I'll put some other links in here, and you can do some research yourself and see what you come up with. But yeah, it's totally possible. I think it's possible. Alrighty then. We'll talk later. Thinking about printing your own comic books, graphic novel, or manga? We recommend our friends over at PrintNinja. We've been using PrintNinja as long as they've been printing comics, and both the quality and price is excellent. Mention CLOWNFISH TV and get an additional 5% overrun of your book order quantity printed for free. For free! That's free books, people. Just mention this offer on the phone or in the additional information box on the quote request form. That's printninja.com, or click on the link in the description below. Hey guys, thanks for watching CLOWNFISH TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.